Hola, minasan! Welcome back for another round of Undead Unluck. Last time, what happened last time? My man got killed. Chikada made his choice. Let's see. Chikada made his choice. Unhealed, unrecover, died, recovered, became a chibi kid somehow. We found out that there's these things called artifacts that like to embed memories of a mysterious world and mysterious beings like God, unleashing destruction. And we last left off where Apocalypse now that they have 11 members, Apocalypse can proceed with the next missions to prevent Ragnarok. So yeah, let's not waste any time and see what the next plans are from Apocalypse now. Undead Unluck by Yoshifumi Tosuka, Chapter 31, Revolution. Then the wheels keep spinning and spinning and spinning. Andy sat by, listening on with all the members of the Union as Apocalypse screamed out, "All quests are now open!" And the chairs rattled a bit as pages flew out of Apocalypse's body and presented itself to everyone. Apocalypse spoke. "These quests have the 100th penalty at stake. This round, the quests are open to everyone. Ha ha! Every living person on Earth will have the right to participate." Everyone within the Union heard what Apocalypse had said uh, as his instructions rattled about the entire grounds. "Oh, mon ami," Billy said. "Open to everyone. So here it is. There are 4 quests this time," Apocalypse said. "Neutralization of Uma Spring. Reward location of artifact ages," he said as the only creature with an umbrella stood above the trees with the cherry blossom petal floating around. "Neutralization of Uma Summer. Reward location of Negator unchanged." The unsuspecting crowd at the festival paid no attention to the little seed sprouting a weird-looking eye out of its shell. "Deadline, December 31st. Everyone was horrified at what he said of the date. "Capture of Uma Autumn," he said as a strange bug was floating around with books, reading books all over the place. "Reward, addition of Uma Ghost. Neutralization of Uma Winter," he said as a weird crystal floated in the air with a strange object in the middle. "Reward, location of artifact Remember. If all quests are not fulfilled by the deadline, the penalty will be the addition of Uma Revolution." No. He said as the mysterious object in space began to fluctuate near the Earth. "Revolution," Chikara asked as Andy sat silent. "So," Shen said, "open to everyone applies to people like Mui too, eh?" "Ah, yes," Jui said. "People outside of the round table are free to enter. I'd venture we're facing opponents on a grand enough scale to warrant the participation. We must unite our non-round table members to complete these quests." Mm. "Oh, mind if I jump in here?" Billy said, as he got everyone's attention. "Ah, what is it, Billy?" The book said these quests are the 100 penalty. I don't think completing them is going to be easy. No, no. If some of us wind up dead before we even get a shot at the 101st penalty, then that seals the deal of our defeat, don't you think, mon ami? Mon chéri. 3 out of 4 need to be neutralized. If we can kill them, we are good. So, why don't we just drop a few nukes on them? Billy nodded, and everyone became very silent. Some were shocked, others pondered and contemplated, and Shen smiled. What are you saying, Mr. Billy? Tatiana said. If we did that, then tons of innocent people would lose their lives. That is true, mon chéri. But wouldn't that be the only thing we lose, huh? You're too naive, Tues. Billy stood up to his feet. You're always seeking the best outcome, almost as if there'd be no next time. What are you driving at? I am saying that you can't do it, mon chéri. Go ahead, repeat it 1,000, hell, 10,000 times over, but you can't do it. None of you can. And Andy immediately got up to his feet and grabbed Chikara and Fuko, throwing them into the ground and shielding them. None of you can kill God, for God does not exist. And Billy fired multiple bullets at everybody as it ricocheted all over the place, and everyone dodging except for Tatiana, who's a giant robot. Who's speaking here? Billy continued on. The odd feeling I've had since Unseen got taken. Those guys barging in all over the place. The tone he took with us. No, it couldn't be. Oh, is that Billy? Is that Billy or is that Andy? I think it's Andy. Okay. The odd feeling I've had since Unseen got taken. Those guys barging in all over the place. The tone he took with us. No, it couldn't be. And suddenly, Andy and Shen got right to Billy, and they aimed their swords right at him like a pair of scissors. First in this sort of situation, Billy was very calm. Well, Julius. You're mighty slow on the draw, you know. Ishin. You gotta help Ishin, Top said. Old timer, you gotta help. I'm well aware. First, remove his armor so I can assess the wound. As Top and Nico helped Ishin with his injury, Billy continued on speaking as Andy and Shen were waiting for his next move to make a move. I managed to bump up Unbreakable, perfect. And Top, in sheer anger, flew at high speed and kicked Billy right in the face. His blood shot out from his mouth as Andy had zero chance to scream out, "Don't do it!" He was already behind them. And as Billy neck snapped in a 90-degree angle, Tatiana looked at his now dead corpse. No, what are you doing, Top? Mr. Billy is. To which Top screamed out, "Damn it, he shot at us. He shot Dinshin. It's clear he's a filthy traitor." And suddenly, Andy sensed something coming right at him. It was Billy. He jumped right past them off the chair and landed right next to Apocalypse. Devoid of light, forced to bear the weight of negating, forced to fight, he said it with his hands in his pockets. Why must we concern ourselves with the lives of the incompetent masses? As he philosophized as everyone watched on. Their lives should be sacrificed as well, and that's just what we plan to do. Otherwise, it would rather be unfair. Don't you agree, mon ami? And suddenly, the table began to rise, and a giant creature, a giant lava monster, carried with the table Billy and Apocalypse. I'll be taking the round table, mon ami. It's the property of Undead now. Everyone dodged as the floor crumbled to prevent falling under, and Billy stared down at Andy and Fuko. The one who killed God is me. To be continued, Undead Unluck by Yoshifumi Tosca. Undead Unluck by Yoshifumi Tosca. Number 32. Chapter 32? Number 32? Number 32. Let's do it. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's not saying chapter. In Billy's flashback, Tatiana called out to him as he walked down the hallway. Mr. Billy. What's up, mon chéri? Why did you put on your spurs again today? She said as his spurs clinked down the floor to the sound of ka-ching. Why, to use the sound to see around me, of course. I know that, but you have me. You don't need those wings when I'm around. I told you I'd be your eyes no matter what, didn't I? Mon chéri, you're right. I need you, Tatiana. And in the present, there rised a giant lava monster, carrying in the palm of its hands the round table with Billy on the top and Apocalypse kidnapped. Ah! Fuko screamed out. What's going on? Did Billy just betray us? Seems so, Andy replied. Oh no, Tatiana, you see this is... Hey you guys, long time no see. And standing on the lava creature was Latla and Unrepair himself. Look, on top of Burns' head, it's Unrepair, and his wife. My wife? Is that how she looks? And he received a slap in the face from Latla. It's nothing like that. Huh? Huh? Have you lost weight since I last saw you? He said. You've gotten prettier, haven't you? Huh? I guess I did do a lot of training these past 2 months. Sorry, you're pretty far away, so it's really hard to tell. Might just be my imagination. And she froze for a second. She realized what he said and started pounding on Andy's head in frustration, trying to resist running up there to beat him up. That seals it. If he's with those two, then Billy's a part of Under. No, Tatiana screamed out as Fuko looked in her direction. That isn't Mr. Billy. You don't know the first thing about him. The top broke that guy's neck a second ago, but he repaired himself. Mr. Billy's ability doesn't work like that. Mr. Billy's ability is unbelievable. It only works with guns, but he shoots in a direction that's bound to miss his target and ricochets the bullet to ensure it hits. It's a sure hit ability. It's the truth. I'm the only one Mr. Billy's ever told. Andy was so suspicious of it. Oh my god! 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 Chikara freaked out. What is all this? That thing looks like a summoned beast straight out of Final Fantasy. Oh my gosh! I'm living the Final Fantasy dream. We'll explain later. Just fall back in the meantime. No, but I can help too. You can help. You can help by not getting. You can help by not getting killed. Ah! I'll come back when I've calmed my nerves. Ah! Chikara quickly ran off. As Fuko said, "Just leave this to us." Ha. Looks like Unmove is still a scaredy cat. Unrepair said up above the giant creature. We're in luck. He's the one that got me last time, you know. Unrepair smiled as Billy listened on. Bringing on a gruesome beast like Burn was a good idea, huh, boss? But boss, Tatiana stood frozen in horror as she looked Billy in the eyes and saw darkness in him. See, didn't I tell you? Top immediately shot out like a bullet and bounced all over the place. He's nothing but, as he said, with Billy unfazed by Top's movement. A filthy traitor, he said as he flew by with a kick. And a bullet flashed right past him. And something flashed right past him. Oh, yeah, Billy. Unstoppable, huh? It's a fine ability. And Billy delivered a sharp kick to Top's head and sent him flying right down into the ground and into and crashed into the debris. Gah! He said. Oh no, Top! He's fast! The hell's going on here? And he looked up. But the shut-off condition is quite brutal. Tatiana stood there frozen as everyone started to make their moves and Shen used his power pole extend. You can't stop me unless the shape of your body undergoes a traumatic change. Is that right? Billy said as he looked at his twisted and busted leg in a S formation. But still, in my current state, he immediately snapped his leg back in place. That's not much of a drawback, mon ami. You have my thanks, he said, as everyone dove in ready for a single strike. Undead. Billy looked at Andy as he wondered what the heck he's talking about. What a marvel of a negation ability, he said as suddenly everybody found themselves floating in the air. You can peer into people's hearts, one bound to protect, one bound to live and lead, and one bound to fight powerful foes to become stronger. Everybody was wondering what the heck is going on and what did Billy do as they were frozen. Those are your visions of justice being negated, yes? Oh, is this my injustice? I was able to use it. Not only is this ability effective against people, it's easy to use. I'll gladly take these for myself. Along with the round table, he said. I suppose me doesn't, Oh. And Shen thought to himself, I suppose he doesn't like me. Not like I like him either. Swat them away, Burn. And Burns flung his lava hands at everybody. And everyone jumped away in time, avoiding the strike. Andy landed back next to Fuko with some damaged clothes. And he stared down at everybody as everyone waited for his next move. Tatiana, Billy said as Burn presented its hand gently at her. Come with me, mon chéri. I need your ability. I saved your life. Now return the favor. You want to return to a normal body, don't you? Then, and suddenly a bullet shot right at him, damaging his face. It regenerated itself, and there was Fuko standing in front of Tatiana. If there's one thing I know, she said, holding that 6-shooter at him, it's how influential someone who comes along and save your life can be when you have no sense of self-worth. But what I don't know is the sadness that comes from that person betraying you. Fuko held back her tears as a few drops slid down her eyes, and Andy stayed quiet, having heard what she said. I see. You're not coming then? He asked Tatiana. Then, you two are my enemy, untouchable. And Tatiana started to well up in tears. Let's go, Bun! Baby Bun. And Burn began to climb through and melted the ceiling, taking the round table and Apocalypse with him, alongside Latla and Unrepair. He plans on escaping by melting the ceiling! Ah, we mustn't let him escape! Dewey screamed out, and Andy looked back. If he steals the round table, then we lose our only way to oppose God. We must retrieve it by any means. We've come this far. If we don't sell it this year, she said, nursing her wound, it's all over. Andy thought about it, and he replied, I got a boatload of questions, but sure, I'm on it, but don't forget what you said. We can use any means right. He watched on as Burn climbed its way up to the surface. Been a while, but I'm kind of a real doozy, Fuko. Roger that, she said as she hopped on his back, and they both were ready to jump, chase after Undead Unluck, to be continued by Undead Unluck by Yoshifumi Tosca. There we go. Undead Unluck by Yoshifumi Tosca. Chapter number 33. Unluck on Our Side. As Burn climbed up and burning the entire Union facilities, Billy stood all chill with Apocalypse beside him on top of the round table, and Latla and Unrepair smiling onwards. Andy, watching on in horror, screamed out, We can use any means right! Been a while, but I'm counting on you for a real doozy, Fuko! Roger that, she screamed as she hopped on his back. Ah, I see, Juice said with a sigh. Relying on Fuko's unluck. Burn is quite strong, can you pull it off? We stand a chance! Andy smiled. There were 2 people on top of Burn's head. One of them was the girl I described in September's report. As long as that girl's there, orthodox attacks won't land. So we'll bank on Luck's randomness. Ah, that sounds like a plan. Let's go with it. Attention all Union members, she screamed out to everyone as she nursed her wound. Billy has betrayed us and seized the round table. We're mounting an operation centered on Undead and Unluck. We must retrieve the round table at all costs. Top priority is disabling Bond. And as long as we stop Bond, they can't walk off with the round table. And immediately on the comms, as Nico checked on Ishin. Nico! I want to focus on treating Ishin on top. Grant the lab members control of the facility to stop burning its tracks. No choice then. Miko? Oh, is that really Juice? Oh, crap. That's Juice's voice. Okay. Nicole, I want you to focus on treating Ishin on top. Grant the lab members control of the facility to stop burning its tracks. Oh, fine. No choice then. And on the comms, he calls on to Miko. Miko, it's up to you. Handle this. Really, Pappy? I mean, Roger, Dr. Miko. There's still a chance. They might try to steal the artifacts as well, Juice said to Shen and Phil. Shen, Phil, get to the depository. You have my permission to use any item you deem fit to bluff this operation. Yes, ma'am. Oh, finally, I could do something. Chikara, I hate to ask you, but I'd like for you to use your power to stop my bleeding. Can you do that? Oh my gosh, I'm not a doctor. Chikara freaked out. Yes, I'll give him my best shot, please. Forgive me. And Tatiana, that's for you. Don't worry. Just leave it to me, Tatiana. Oh, don't worry, Fuko said, sitting on her knees in front of Tatiana and looking right at her. Just leave it to me, Tatiana. I'm sure there's a reason behind this. Mr. Billy is a kind, wonderful person, but of course you know that better than anyone. I do. Go out there and save Mr. Billy. I will. Fuko! Andy called out to her as Fuko waved goodbye to Tatiana. Okay, I'm off, Tatiana. I'll be back soon. She hopped on Andy's back like Yoda, and together they both jumped high into the air. Begin the operation. All personnel, provide full support for Undead Unluck. Fuko, Tatiana said as she looked up in the air, and everyone screamed out, Roger! Let's see. Who is talking? Okay. Yeesh, what gives? Unrepair said, this is a cakewalk. I expected more from this so-called secret society. But no, this won't be as easy as you think. The arrow's pointing down to Billy. Don't worry, this won't be easy as you think, Billy said. We simply cut them off guard. It won't be long before they come to halt our momentum. Don't underestimate them. You're giving them too much credit, don't you think? Boy, who'd have thought our boss would hold the third seat in the organization? That's pretty much our first time meeting, yeah. Letla and I will cooperate with you, but let me make something clear. Unrepair smiled with glee. Killing God isn't our final objective. What we want comes next. We're here because you said you'd give us that. Don't you forget? And he licked his lips. You won't be betraying us now, will you, Mr. Billy? That is all fine, mon ami. We don't operate under some vague motive like justice. The only thing we stand by is just derived from our mutual interest. It's fairer that way, don't you think? Okay, then. Unrepair smiled with glee. That makes things much easier. Meanwhile, in the headquarters, Miko contacted Dr. Nico. Yeah, initiate emergency relocation for giant in my free storage cooling devices above Bird's current location. We can only use that for 10 minutes. Any longer, and the other will wake up. But plan for usage over the 10-minute mark. Initiate emergency deployment of anesthetic gas as a backup. To which the crew replied, Roger. And Nico screamed out, and the electromagnetic cables too. Meanwhile, top nurses Ishin, take it off, darn it. They can buy us some time. Nico screamed out as Top continued to get the helmet off of Ishin. But Pappy, Miko said, those are weak to heat. Before we even get a chance to launch in the terminals we can heat. Where you listening to what I just said, you damn it. Yeah. Listen up, Nico said. Our goal is to make this look like we captured a while we gather up resources. Just focus on building a dangerous assortment. Undead and Unluck will handle the rest. And Undead and Unluck leaped off of each single flaming floor, making their way up to the top. Hey, after we stop burn, let's try to talk this out. Talk it out? Didn't you just plug Billy with that gun just a second ago? That was an accident. I meant to graze him. Anyway, I do have some questions for him too. Rip and Billy don't seem to have the same goal. If his heart's set on God slaying, then it'd be more efficient to work with us. Hard to believe he'd form a whole new organization over a difference of policies. But there's one thing that's clear as day. Andy continued as he leaped off more flaming floors. And Fuko answered, what's that? He made one of our own cry. Let's give him a knuckle sandwich. He smiled. And we could talk after that.
Right.
Hey, I could say burn. Tues, how's the source prep going?
Oh, it's all complete. Take it away.
Copy that. And Fuko and Andy got above Burn. Billy looked up with a scowling face. So, you have come to undeterred, have you, mon ami? Undead Unluck. I activate Unjustice card. And he stared right at them as they floated in midair. And the sword comes swinging right at Andy and Fuko's heads.
Here it comes, Andy.
The same as Julius, he thought. Does Unluck plan to kill herself? You moron! Andy smiled as he leaned his head into the sword and watched it slice his neck off. Not on my watch, pal!
Ah!
Latla screamed out, and Unprepared was in shock. Ha ha! This is sick. This is sick. Wicked sick. I love it. I love it. Hot damn! Can't say I ever gotten a smooch while being beheaded till now. Andy smiled as Fuko gives him a big kiss on the cheek. Look, they're kissing again, which I'm pretty sure it means Bart's bullet head. Andy shot his head out from his neck, right at Burn. There's going to be a huge stroke of unluck heading this way. And Andy entered the mouth of entered the mouth of Burn as Latla and Unrepaired sat on its brow and watching on in shock. Huh? He went inside. It's on the way, heading straight for Andy inside of Burn's stomach. And there it was, a whole heap of trouble coming down, an electric field. Latla! He immediately reached out to her. A stroke of unluck, and the whole thing started getting electrocuted. Billy stood unfazed while Latla's the Gator ability rebounded all the electric field. And Billy crossed his arms unimpressed. Oh, electromagnetic cables misfiring. This must be Unluck's doing. And here's something else for good measure. Let's see. Who's that's on the Nico. Okay, that must be Dr. Nico. Dr. Nico spoke out from the comms. Hey, here's something else. Good measure. Time to chill out. And suddenly, Burn was freezing over as exhaust air shot out from the air conditioning. Miko screamed out,
All right.
and Billy once again stood unpressed as he watched Burn turn to ice. A futile effort that might have worked on Burn's core form, but not against its fully developed body. You're simply delaying the inevitable. And Fuko, standing on the round table, stared down at Billy.
It's not over yet. There's more on the way,
she said with the determined face, with a very determined and serious face.
Courtesy of everyone.
And everybody began to, wow, began to make their, began to execute the plan.
A huge stroke of unluck is on its way.
You're going to ram it. Miko screamed out.
You got nothing to worry about. We've got our girl Fuko's unluck on our side.
And she pressed the button. And the whole entire stake plunged right through Burn's heart.
Unbreakable pile cannon. Hell yeah. Suck on that dimwit.
Meanwhile, Chikara continues to keep Juice's injury from spilling out. And Nico and Top smiled on as they could, as the drones continued to tend to Ishin's injury. "We've put Bird on ice!" Andy screamed out. "There's no giving us the slip now, Billy!" And Billy was perturbed. To be continued, Undead Unluck by Yoshifuki Tosca. "We put Bird on ice! There's no giving us the slip now, Billy!" Andy smiled. Fuko stared at Billy, and Billy was perturbed. Undead Unluck by Yoshifuki Tosca, chapter number 34. This world will always be. As Burn crumpled into pieces and collapsed all from the floor, and the flames being put out by the freezing cold, Top looked up with a smile along with Nico as the droids continued to work on Ishin's injury. "Wow, awesome," Top said. "Those two managed to burn Top. To stop Burn." "Yes, guess so. They nailed him too good. Talk about a serious stroke of unluck." "Hey, old timer, I want to go join them already. You should stop being difficult, yeah, big dummy," he said as he bonked on Ishin's head, trying to get that helmet removed. "I doubt you'll be able to withstand any acceleration with your legs still recovering. Stay here and heal up." Chikara turned his head, forgetting that he was supposed to be watching Juice's injury, and went, "What the? What's the matter? Where did Tatiana go?" And sure enough, Tatiana was not where she was supposed to be. As Burns stood there with a giant stake plunged into his body, and Andy stuck at the end of the stake, he jumped up and started running across the stake. "Now then, this is your penalty for making Tatiana cry." Billy looked up and was ready as Andy dove down and delivered a one-punch man punch that he had never punched before. It bent and twisted Billy's face and turned his head around a 360 degree. "There, one death coming up." "Oh, I see," Billy said. And his head spun like a top and straightened out. "It hurts. From observing you, I always assumed your sense of pain gets dulled as well. But instead, you simply repair yourself bit by bit. You forged that into your current fighting style, I see. Consider me grateful, Undead. Ho ho." "I knew it," Andy thought to himself. "He's using my undead powers." "Fuko," he said to her, "hand over the katana and the gun. He might try to force you to kill yourself."
Okay.
Latla, carried by very tiny Chibi unrepaired.
What now? Do we help?
"Why would we do that? Let's hang back and see," he said with a big grin on his face, "whether or not he's qualified to be our boss. Earn it, you young Frenchman." Billy stood on the table, on the round table, and he vanished. He began bouncing at high speed all over the place, making it difficult for Andy and Fuko to spot him.
That's Top's power.
"It's not as refined as Top, though," Andy said as he held onto his sword, ready to unsheath it. "If you keep calm and look closely, you can at least tell he's coming from." And Billy flanked them from the side and delivered a power kick into Andy's guts. He flew away as Fuko floated in the air. "Even if you see it coming, you still need to block the attack." Ho ho! And his severed leg popped off. "Not bad," Andy said as he pulled himself out of the rubble with his sword unsheathed. "However, I know your weakness." He looked over in Fuko's direction, freaking her out. "And it's you, Unluck." And he activated Unjustice.
My legs are moving on their own. If my vision of justice is to survive, then the inverse would be
"Frickin' jerk, toying with us."
my body. I can't control it.
And suddenly, she fell off the round table and plummeted to the abyss below.
I'm sorry, Andy.
"Damn it!" and he immediately dove down at her. Fuko! And Billy stood there quietly with his arms crossed. And he bounced off the walls as he reached out for Fuko.
Undead, unstoppable, injustice, yeah, no doubt about it.
Oh, undead, unstoppable, injustice, yeah, no doubt about it. His ability is copy and applies to us union members. Oh, that takes care of our nuisances. Burn, how long do you plan on napping? Burn, burn, he replied. Burn! And he relit his body, immediately severing the stick that plunged into him, and all the ice melted into absolute vapor.
Yo,
Miko laughed.
no way, he redeemed Pierce the core.
And Blanca replied, The Unluck was directed at Mr. Andy after all. Dang, we're all out of traps that'll work against Burn.
Bah. Buzz. Bed is starting to move and we don't have a way to stop it. We have 5 minutes until they break out of the base. We need a plan, Buzz. Remain calm, you fools. What happened to Andy and Fool Goddess Earth?
Chewie screamed out as the droids patched up her injury. Oh, they are safe.
Is that you, Tatiana?
They came falling from above. I have no idea what happened, but I've recovered them both. And Tatiana shot herself up, flying into the air with Andy and Fuko in tow.
Tatiana, your orders were to the man on standby.
I'm sorry, boss, but I need to talk to Mr. Billy.
Tatiana, I want you to be honest with me. Do you still have feelings for Billy even now?
The
operation hinges on your answer.
Tatiana froze in place for a second as she started contemplating her feelings of Billy. Stonehenge collapsed in place, knocking down thousands of years of human history. The World UNESCO site collapsed as Burn melted the whole entire facility in place. While holding the stake in hand, Tatiana flew out with Andy and Fuko as the sun shined down on everyone. Mr. Billy. Comrade Billy, Tatiana said. Why would you betray us? Tatiana stared him down as he looked right at her, blocking her attacks. So long as God and the rules exist, mon chéri, this world will always be unfair, he said as he leaned into Tatiana. But Mr. Billy, get over yourself, child. You mean nothing to me. And suddenly, Tatiana slowly shed tears as she remembered his words from long ago. Tatiana, do you still... from long ago, 5 seconds ago, by Tues.
Tatiana, do you still have feelings for Billy? Tatiana, do you still have feelings for Billy, even now?
Tatiana remembered how Billy looked out for her and was able to feed her food that she needed. I do, comrade. Untouchable area compulsory release, and she unlocked her whole entire powers and sent the force field into Billy, pushing him and slowly squeezing him. And Billy, covered in flames, was surprised. Justice should be active. If she's acting with justice on behalf of the Union, then it should have stopped the attack. So why is it not working? He said as everyone began to plummet down. down below while Tatiana's field expanded and pushed into burn. Right, I see, Monchetti. I've had the target. I've been had. Oh, sorry. Right, I see, Monchetti. I've been had. The target was Apocalypse. And Fuko flew down from the sky with Apocalypse in her hands as the book screams out. Aah! And Tatiana was able to retract her shell in her force field while Andy smiled with glee. Nothing gets started unless you sit at the round table. But as Fuko aimed the gun into oh my gosh, did she really do that? Yes, she is. That's her hand. Aimed the gun into Apocalypse's mouth. If this little guy ain't around, you can't accept any quest. Any that right, Billy? And Billy's vein bulged out of his forehead. To be continued. Undead Unluck by Yoshifumi Tosca. Undead Unluck by Yoshifumi Tosca. Chapter number 35. This world is. You want a bootleg union of your own right? Well, guess what? Andy screamed out as Fuko kept the gun in Apocalypse's mouth as they plummet down to the ground below, with Tatiana falling behind them and burned completely in flames. More flames. Held the round table up with Billy watching on. If this little guy ain't around, you can't accept any requests for rewards. Ain't that right? The Andy smiled with glee. Billy! And Billy was frustrated with a vein popping out of his brow. You no good, moron! And as he held on to that voice, a mysterious shockwave struck Fuko. Her eyes glazed over and stared out into nothingness. And she struggled to move. What's the matter, Fuko? Hey, Fuko! Ga. And that's when she started having visions pounding into her head. Their fights, everything that has happened, Nico falling over, the round table reduced to 2. There's only very few left, with Victor walking around, the strange beam in the sky melting everything as Victor was the last survivor of the whole thing. Wow, what is this vision? Wow. So Fuko freaked out and grabbed her head, releasing Apocalypse. Aha! I did it! I've got more years under my belt than any other artifact, and I hold enough memories to prove it! Ah! Fuko screamed as she gripped onto her head and shivered in pain from the pain as Andy watched on. Enjoy going out of your mind. You're going to be a vegetable. I would prefer a daikon, but you look more like a lettuce. Now, while I have the chance. Oh! What? Who was that? Something grabbed Apocalypse, and he made his threat. I'll just flood your mind too, and And it turned out to be Phil with rock-like hands. It's Unphil! Down you! Hey, Phil! Pick us up while you're at it, too! Eddie screamed out, unaware of Goku flying in, coming in with a flying Nimbus and catching Andy and Fuko in midair. Awfully sorry for the wait. Shit! Is this the Kintoon Cloud? Actually, it's the flying Nimbus, but okay, we could go with that too. Wait! You can ride this? And what might you be implying by that? Undead! Billy screamed out from the distance. I'll let you borrow the book. All I need to do is retrieve it by the deadline of the 31st. He said with his arms crossed. However, we'll be the first to secure Ark. We'll tell Tues we won't let her have it. Ark? Any idea what that is? I'm afraid not. I'm sorry. Very nice. Unrepair said as he held on to Latla and slowly pushed her boobs into his cheeks. Now things are getting fun. And Burn launched into the air. Tues, Billy's getting away. Do we tell him?
No, it's fine. That'll be enough.
They watched as everyone as their enemies disappeared into the sky.
Doesn't matter, I must discuss with everyone. I ask that you reconvene on the ground.
Yeah, roger that.
Nico, damage report.
Well, it's not as bad as we thought. Forcing a drug by stealing the pocket was the right call. If another fight had broken out, it'd be a lot worse.
I see.
Tues stood silently in front of everybody.
How do we assembled? Will folk be alright?
Well, Nico? Well, the human brain is a remarkable thing. She'll settle down soon enough. There you got the dog's word.
Yes, I see. I'm sorry nonetheless.
And Apocalypse, trapped in a box, struggled to gnaw his way out. So, mind if I pose a question?
Not at all. That's what I would have.
Let me out! Apocalypse did all he could to break free. Right, so the first time I felt something was off was when I heard your policy toward the set of quests with Galaxy as the penalty. You said you weren't worried about clearing all the quests, just strengthening your forces. In retrospect, that's a pretty lax attitude to take. You run the risk of losing numbers for the round table, and with Ragnarok drawing near, that's way too passive of an approach. Yes, Shen concurred. I've been curious about your familiarity with Victor as well.
I thought that you only knew him as a hero that existed before we were born.
Is that pointing at Tues? No, it's not pointing. It's still pointing at him. They should have moved the arrows a little bit more closer to Shen there. I thought that you only knew him as a hero that existed before we were born, but apparently the two of you exchanged names while we weren't around. I later learned that Mr. Andy hadn't let him fully out in close to 200 years. In addition, he seemed privy to Galaxy's existence before the rule was even added. It was almost as if he had lived in a world where it already existed. Yeah. Nico laughed. This Ark thing has got me curious. I don't have any data logged for an artifact like that. And Tues removed her helmet, showing off her panting commercial-styled hair flowing in the wind.
Don't worry, understate my ability. Won't be an issue unless you answer a question from me about your vision of justice. First off, there's something about this world that you all need to know. This world is on a loop. We're groundhogs dang this. And we don't even have Herduramus anymore to direct the conclusion. It's in a constant cycle of destruction and renewal, all thanks to God's handiwork. Over and over, time and time again, the union is an organization I created to put a stop to it.
Everyone continued to listen on. Loop. Tatiana said. This world is. So tell me, why is it that only you know about?
Oh, I see now. I couldn't really tell since they're all fragmented.
Fuko says she tightened her grip on Andy's tie.
But those images from the artifact, are they from before things were recreated? Correct. It's the history of our... No. It's the history of my inadequacy leading to defeat. No, Miss Tues. Without you around, we... But that's precisely is why.
She interrupted Fuko.
I've assembled the components. All accounted over the course of multiple deaths. I've assembled even stronger weapons and warriors.
Fuko turned silent as Andy watched on.
I've assembled negators, capable of killing God.
She screamed out as everybody felt like they were the Avengers suddenly, all with determined looks on their faces to achieve victory.
Come to me, my negators.
To be continued, Undead Unluck by Yoshifumi Tosca. That was a good combat, you know. Billy decided to be the big boss this time, as he teamed up with Unrepair and Letla, and all throughout the fight, basically, they're just trying to stop him from taking the round table. Honestly, it seems a little strange. I feel like it dragged a little too long, for multiple chapters. It went like 4 chapters, just to it took like 4 chapters just to get out of the building. We got this new thing called Burn. We got the new missions. It turns out that the 4 Umas are all based on the 4 seasons, and they have a deadline December 31st, which is very little time for anybody to do anything, and that's when Billy decided to make his move. Very interesting characters, the 4 seasons. We got an Oni. Here we got a seed that's sprouting. We got a giant bug that's, I guess, reading books. And we got this floating ice that is straight out of Evangelion. Very creative. Very creative Uma here. I like that. I like it. You know what I'm saying? Very distinct, very unique. But yeah, suddenly there's this thing called revolution. That's the penalty. If it gets added, something happens to the world. Appears to be a gigantic sun, like way bigger than it's supposed to be, I guess. From what this looks like, so that's an interesting thing, I guess. Everybody will die, basically. I guess this is gonna be like the movie Knowing, when the sun burns up the earth and such. But yeah, Billy made his move once he saw once Juice laid out the plan, and he just was like, screw this, I'm taking everything. You ain't gonna kill God. Unfortunately, we find out that Billy's move is not what it is. It's not what it seems. Pretty much, he can actually copy everybody's moves. What the negation is, who knows? But he's now able to, steal everyone's powers. He's like freaking Rogue, from the X-Men. So I picked the right voice. I picked the right voice on this one, since she's got that Southern Belle accent, and Gambit. She's in love with Gambit, so the French voice, perfect. Perfect timing. So why not? And he unleashed the giant burn. I gotta say, this is a pretty nice looking creature here. Very nicely well drawn and everything. You know what I mean? Like, it really stands out. It's very, very frightening. I guess it's a living being, whatever it may be. But it's very fascinating design. Like, showing the abs being the lava. Like, you see like the lava skin here, but the lava skin also forms the abs. Very very inventive, very big. Not sure how it's living, but hey, who knows? But yeah, that's when we get this whole big fight and everything for the next 3 chapters, which isn't too bad. But yeah, Apocalypse is stolen. Tatiana has a conflict of interest. Let's see here. Has a conflict of interest, and of course these guys showed up. Under has arrived, but Tatiana is having a conflict of interest moment, because Billy did rescue her from the auctioneers and being tormented by evil people. But yeah, the interesting thing is that Unrepair, and Billy are not exactly on the same wavelength. So it's like he's telling him and Lala like we're gonna see what Billy does and see if he's worthy of being this thing, which is very good. You don't you want to keep when it comes to writing, sometimes you want to keep your enemies different from each other. You know what I'm saying? Like they may have the same goals but different directions with it. And it's usually a good thing because it keeps villainry from being a one note, one dimensional kind of thing. Keeps the story from going flat. Because sometimes these types of disagreements, what I'm saying, from different factions, could lead to clashes and so on. Chikara proved useless. I don't know why he's created. I don't know why he's created. He basically did nothing. This was all on Tatiana, who had to decide. She had to decide whose side she on. But everybody did their best to fight. We finally learned that the big giant guy's name is Ishin. He and Phil had zero dialogue throughout this whole entire series, so it is what it is. Don't make too many characters that you can't give room to speak. If he to speak, because that's it's not it's not good. And again, this falls into the folly of giving us unnamed characters with dedicated time, and they get treated as fodder. Ishin got taken out. Saying we barely got to know him and everything. So why create a character that you're gonna take out? Just don't create too many characters when you're writing. When you're creating anything, don't create too many characters you can't maintain. Settle on a number and work with it. And if you feel confident that you can be able to add more characters later down the line, you can do so after you've taken care of your first set of characters. If that makes sense. So, like, you start off with 4 characters. We all get to know the 4 characters. Then you add another character. We go through that character's backstory, arc, and all that stuff. And then you can start manipulating who you want to draw. Who you want to have attention to during the journey. So, like, if you want another arc with person B and C, and then have and have an arc for A and D. With AD and E, there's ways to manipulate it. But if you throw in a whole bunch of characters in one whole scene, like what happened here in Undead Unluck, somebody's got to give. And Phil and Ishin paid the price. In that we don't get any backstories. Let me put it this way: we got more Miko and more Mui than we did Ishin and Ishin and Phil. And Ishin and Phil are supposed to be the main guys. They're supposed to be the round table. Mui and Miko are side characters. They're assistants to Nico and Shen. And we got more of them than we got of 2 round table members. And that's not good. That's not really good, honestly. Hopefully that will get rectified later down the line. But that's not very good writing. That's actually a flaw in writing. Don't let your side characters have more moments than the principal characters. That's the important characters. The round table are the important characters. Mui and Miko are not important characters. Phil and Ishin should have had their time, and they didn't have their time. We had time with Shen. We had time with Billy. We had time with Top. Well, you see what I'm saying? But we never had time with Ishin and Phil. And now Ishin is probably gonna be dead for all we know. I think he survived, but that's not my point. My point is don't top load your characters like that. You know what I'm saying? Don't top load your team with so many characters that you can't maintain and work with. And you're gonna find yourself sidelining them. It's not very good. That just makes your story flawed. So be extra careful on that one. Yeah, so everybody's fighting and fighting, and Billy starts tempting Tatiana. This poor child, Fuko was able to connect with her and tell her, listen, I know, when somebody saves you, you get attached and everything, but, take things into consideration here. And it's very sad for Tatiana because, she was a product of a freak accident. Her power just kicked in and killed her parents, and she was about to be sold off into slavery, and Billy comes in and rescues her. And Fuko's pretty much angry because, she did learn Tatiana's history, and Billy just freaking 180'd on her, which was terrible. Like he just now added another trauma to this child's life. And keep in mind, Tatiana is still a child, all things considered. She's suffering way more than she should really be suffering because of her negation ability. And Billy is just ridiculous. And he's trying to play Darth Vader with her and be like, join me, and together we shall rule the galaxy as Billy and Tatiana. And Fuko, meanwhile, is trying to protect Tatiana's feelings. Saying not let her go through an unnecessary trauma that Billy's inflicting. And it was pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see that. But yeah, ultimately he's like, Tatiana, you're my enemy too, and was done. And they're taking the round table on up. So yeah, we find out with great teamwork, everybody was able to stop Burn from floating up there with a giant stake. Tender moment here with Fuko, even though time is of the essence, but she was able to get Tatiana to come around and Tatiana's like, no, that's not Billy. He doesn't those are not his abilities. That's not possible. We gotta save him. Fuko guided her through that, and Tatiana turned what could have been a traumatic experience into a I'm going to save a person I care about experience. And everybody executed their plan in the most epic way possible as Fuko triggered the unluck on Andy. Nico's daughter, Dr. Nico's daughter, was able to set up a giant stake, and pretty sweet that that these two pulled off. What an amazing way to get the chemistry, the pairing, a well balanced team up where Fuko kisses Andy as he's chopping off his head. He shoots out into the mouth and causes copious amounts of unluck to happen, which is insane. And he gets a freaking giant stake to the chest, which is hilarious. With which I didn't notice until now. But if you look all the way up at the stake, the very tip, you see Andy in all his nakedness, in all of his glorious nakedness, impaled by this giant stake. Pretty freaking hilarious, but what a great way to show the size and scale of this weapon that Dr. Nico somehow came up with. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. So yeah, ultimately in the end, they break out. Turns out that the organization was underneath Stonehenge and basically destroyed a World Heritage Site. They got a little bit of a showdown going between Billy and Fuko, really. Andy's just doing what he can, but Fuko is really the one that is Billy's problem, and Center falling down like Luke Skywalker in Hoth. Oh no, Bespin, not Hoth, Bespin. Oh my gosh, the comments will be like, it's Bespin, it's Cloud City. Until they realize that I actually corrected myself and be like, and then they hit the edit, then they'll edit it and they'll say edit next to their name, saying, "Oh, I just saw heard him say that." Oh man. But yeah, with Burn frozen over and everything, they did the rescue, but it turned out Burn was just faking it, and he breaks free, and they managed to get up and out. But Tatiana, picked her side. She's helping Fuko, and seriously, why is he taking the stake with him? Why is Burn carrying the stake? That's freaking hilarious. Also, nicely done drawing here. I like this. I like this panel. This is a pretty good panel here. Everybody's flying out. Everybody's flying out. And you have everything collapsing. You see all the shards and shrapnel, and still maintaining the detail of the flames and the lava skin, the lava skin and all that cool stuff. Unfortunately, Stonehenge is gone for good. So. Man, but ultimately, this proves to be a great episode, a great set of chapters, a good set of chapters. You know what I mean? Apocalypse gets taken by Fuko, and it turned into a draw. Ultimately, in the end, it became a draw, and thanks to that's right, and thanks to Fuko not only catching it, but actually putting the gun in Apocalypse's mouth. And Apocalypse, really pissed off, unleashes a flurry of mysterious things here. It looks like this is from a different time period. It looks like it's a different time period. Let's see here. They were fighting. All of them were fighting. It looks like Dr. Nico died in this world. They got reduced down to 2 people. One of them, I guess that's Tues. Yeah, Tues is basically either dying or giving up. Victor just didn't care or something. And then Victor, clearly being that he has undead as his ability, was the last one standing on Earth and watched the revolution. I guess this is revolution. I'm assuming this is what revolution is. The sun just expanding out and melting everything around him, and he's embracing death like no other. This is a pretty frightening thing, and it just left Fuko's brain fried ultimately, much to Apocalypse's joy. He is definitely a very, very dastardly villain, and we finally get to see Phil do something here. And again, he's not even talking; he's just sucking his thumb. Come on, man. So yeah, Juice, tells the truth about what's going on with the world, and it turns out that they're Groundhog Daying everything, and she screamed out that she pulled pulled a Nick Fury and gathered up a whole bunch of Avengers. She created the Negator Initiative basically to put an end to all this, and that's where we stop at. So overall, the action, the pacing, very good. Other than a few little areas where I couldn't tell who was talking whom, and the annoyance that Ishin got taken out when we learned nothing of him, and Phil still doesn't talk and just makes one little attack. 2 underused characters. I said what I had to say about having too many characters around, but ultimately in the end, it was good. It was good because because the stakes have just gotten even higher. It's already bad enough they got to get the 4 seasons, Uma, but now Billy is gonna do everything he can to stop them from stopping this time loop, this Groundhog Day. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. All right. So comment, like, subscribe, follow. You know you want to. And head on over to Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and grab yourself a copy of The Apostle Man, a Strange Fantasy novel written by me. You'll find the links down in the description below, along with links to other merch such as pins, stickers, t-shirts, music. Grab them all. Thank you for your patronage. And if you're interested, you can volunteer over at Patreon, on my Patreon. If you're interested in volunteering, you're more than welcome to. You don't have to, but you're more than welcome to. You're invited. And if you want to hang out with me on my live multi-streams on Twitch and Kick, you can join me there Monday through Thursdays, 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you. Thank you all. I look forward to hanging out with you there. So, with that said, until the next set of chapters, thank you for joining me for Let's Read Undead Unluck, and I wish you all a good night. A buenas noches, and hoy se me sight.